Unit started digging into a human trafficking ring operating between Nairobi and Kampala, Uganda. Our investigations revealed that there was a connected group of people promising young but poor Karamojong girls jobs in Kenya, only to give them out as house helps and sex workers. Others are left in hopelessness to wander in Nairobi's Leigh area. Fresh statistics now show that there are about 3,000 Karamojong girls in Nairobi. We can report tonight that the trade does not stop, neither has the suffering of the victims. Here now is our crime and investigation reporter Brian Obuya with this KTN News special report, Trafficked, on Inside Source.
Unakaa tu kwa mvua yote na kuishia. Sisi tunapitisa tu kama watu na si binadamu.
Sasa sisi ni watano iko na mimba hapo.
On 12th of January 2020, Kenyan police working together with the Ugandan embassy ran an operation in Leigh, Nairobi. This operation is aimed at rescuing dozens of Karamojong girls trafficked into Kenya back to Uganda. They managed to send back a total of 102 of them. Seen here appearing to faint several times is Esther Nakiru. She's among those who were sent back. And when KTN News revisits Leigh, Nakiru, who hails from Moroto, Uganda, is here. She's back in Kenya, and she has a reason for it.
Meona nataka kukaa, meona pesa ya kulipa watoto wangu school fees. Hakuna pesa ya yuko, ni kidogo sana. Meona hata kufanya huko kazi pesa yake hostachana na rent iko, watoto nataka kukula, kama mtoto kwa mgonjwa anahitaji nini na shule nataka, ndio mimi nikarudia tena hapa.
Her return to Kenya, where she had been rescued from what appeared to be bondage and slavery, may shock some, but the reason for her return is understood better by people like Mweni Mutisia, the head of the Anti-Human Trafficking and Child Protection Unit at Kenya's Directorate of Criminal Investigations.
If the root cause of this problem, of these girls coming in search of greener pastures is not addressed, definitely we'll continue experiencing their coming into Kenya and most probably not even Kenya, being taken to other countries. So I'm making an appeal once more to the government of Uganda to really address the problem. It's a challenge.
The second phase of returning the Karamojong girls back to Uganda is on. This time around, Mweni believes with better policies and enhanced groundwork, it will succeed.
We are coming up with a proper plan of how to rescue them and how to place them back into their country. We do not want to carry out an activity that is going to fail, or we take them back and there's no proper placement strategy when they're taken back to Uganda. So that is why we are taking a while for them to voluntarily agree to go back. And then those that are supposed to go back to school, they go back to school. Those that are over 18 years and they don't want to go back to school, they get into businesses or income-generating projects.
But Kenyan authorities have said this before.
Since the COVID pandemic, we have not interdicted any trafficker because the borders were closed, the airspace was closed, and because of that, trafficking has actually gone down. It has actually gone down. As of now, I cannot say that we are having any major cases of human trafficking as of now.
Human trafficking is a business, The International Labour Organization estimates it to be worth 16 trillion Kenya shillings worldwide. And it is just one among many businesses that are conducted in utmost secrecy. In fact, it is difficult to declare that someone has been trafficked.
With lack of sufficient education also, we realize even the law enforcement agencies, for lack of sufficient capacity, may not detect some of the crimes that are associated with human trafficking, and therefore some of the arrests that happen so appropriately could actually be classified differently and as lesser offenses to the criminal law. And we think that is that's a big challenge that, again, they get away, traffickers get away with it. But again, we also look at the environment under which we operate. There is so much corruption, and therefore it's possible that, they're getting away with the crimes even when arrested.
Hundreds of girls come from the poverty-stricken Karamojong region in northeastern Uganda, which is currently divided into 7 administration districts. The region is known for conflicts, violence, and cattle rustling and other interest-based feuds. This combination has been moving the masses from the region and making young girls desperate for a better life. That now explains why Karamojong girls are in Kenya's East Leigh. But life here is not what they hoped for, but they prefer it.
Mama yako anataka kuingia harusi kama kwa mtoto mdogo, wanalipa hata kama sasa tuka hapa huko ushago, wengine wamelipua ng'ombe na ujui. Ukienda huko mama yako na baba wamesha kuuza, hata kama ni mtoto mdogo au na matiti unaingia harusi. So hiyo ni kitu inatukataza kurudia kwa ushago. Cause ale marriage sio mzuri. Wengine huko kwetu wamekufa wengi kwa sababu unapata mimba na saa ya kuzaa hawezi.
When darkness creeps in, the Karamojong girls are a worried lot, not just because of the deplorable state in which they live, struggling to survive, but mainly because of sex predators who prey on these helpless girls. There will be music and dance tonight, but stories like these ones cut it short.
Tena moja amerepiwa hapo nyuma, alirepiwa na alikatwa hapa, na mwingine alirepiwa hapo live kama hata sisi tunaona. Lakini bila tunakuwa there's no way. Hawezi saidia huyu. Unaacha tu mwingine alibebiwa huko, alirepiwa, wachokora wengi na hajapelekwa hospitali. Tulileta tu hapa kioga kidogo hivyo, una cha kufanya, there's no way.
When it's time to sleep, they'll try and hold on to one another. The younger ones sleeping in between the older ones. Those are the ages are mostly targeted by predators. Some of these attackers being rogue street boys.
Tulikuwa tunafanya kazi kwa gorofa moja, sisi wasichana 10, lakini tulipata shida kwa hiyo gorofa kwa sababu bila mnaenda kuandika nguo juu, watchman wanakuanga wawili. Watchman anataka kushikashika matiti yako, anataka kushikashika kulala na wewe. Sawa, wasichana ndio walikubali kulala na huyu watchman, ndio alibaki kwa hiyo gorofa, anawapata juu anawachapa.
Most of these girls are between the ages of 10 and 25. That they were trafficked from Uganda is the only thing that is uniform about them. But their reasons are different. There are those who ran away from early and forced marriages only to sink into a den of rape in Kenya. There are those who came to look for jobs to fend for their young families. And others were lured by friends to fulfill the number of girls demanded by their traffickers.
Majorly, the Nairobi streets through Leigh are dotted with Karamojong girls. A majority of these now of late have been brought to Nairobi without any specific placement to jobs, and therefore they find themselves joining a group of others who have already been unemployed for longer and who have adapted to situations of survival, like living on the streets.
Apart from the rape ordeals survived by a majority, there are those who have opted to engage in commercial sex work. All this to make ends meet in a country away, far, far away from home.
Anauza wengine hapa wanalange hapa nalala na wanawake kwa sababu hakuna mali ya kupata pesa ya kukula. Wanakudanganya, wanapata kitu kidogo, unakula. Hivyo just sell yourself. Wengine wanaharibika hapa, wametoa mimba.
Their monthly menses are a mess and an embarrassment. We have been told of how some of them have even been forced to recycle pads they find on the ground or in dump sites.
Vile walikuwa wakifanya, walikuwa wakikutana na pad, hawajui mtu ni mgonjwa nini, tatizo liko gani, wanachukua ile pads wanafua wenyewe, halafu wanarudi kuvaa.
The only time they came close to assistance was after our first coverage of their story a year ago. Most of them were taken for medical checkups and had the pleasure of receiving donations in the form of blankets and sanitary towels.
Wametibiwa na tunazidi kuwasaidia, na nashukuru hii shirika iliwasaidia. Kila msichana alipatiwa padi ya mwaka mzima.
But not much else could have been done as their numbers keep rising.
What we are doing as an organization is to link them to health facilities to be able to get emergency materials and emergency health, and also to ensure that they also know their rights, even while being victims, that they also have rights and they can be able to get the help that they need to overcome the challenges that they are facing on a daily basis.
Ikiombaka watoto wadogo wanawashika, wanaambia wafanye romance. Hiyo ni kitu mbaya sana kwa sababu hawa ni watoto. Mimi nasikia uchungu kama mzazi nikiona mtoto kama huyu anadhulumiwa hivi. Ningeomba tu kama community leaders, kama ni machief na government, please, yani tufanye follow up ya watoto vile watasaidika.
Worrying data now indicates that the trade in Karamojong girls between Kenya's capital Nairobi and Uganda's Kampala is still rife and unchallenged. For example, if you look at statistics from the Eastern Africa Child Rights Network, there are about 3,000 trafficked girls in Eastleigh, Majengo, Pumwani, Pangani, and Shauri Moyo alone. Most of them working as house helps.
Trafficking of the Karamojong girls is still going on, unabated, and mainly because we have not yet managed to get hold of the serious traffickers, the people who are actually perpetuating the practice and the business, the illegal business.
Kenyan authorities have warned that traffickers have now gone digital, using social media platforms to lure their targets.
We've seen increased online recruitment, online grooming, and then after grooming, earning the trust and all that, there is that now the recruitment itself, and even the transfers and all that. Everything is possible through technology.
The internet usage in Kenya had increased by over 50%. That is more the population of the young people, and the traffickers are also more interested with younger people because they know they can very easily hook them up into situations where trafficking can happen without their knowledge, and also move them without even having difficult times to make decisions. And therefore that is for us a very worrying trend, because the future globally is technology. And yet this technology again has been taken advantage of by the traffickers, and they have designed ways and means through which they are able to even mobilize bigger populations of potentially vulnerable population to be part of the trafficking rings globally.
But perhaps the most silent form of human trafficking is that of middle-aged Kenyan women to the Middle East. Heartbreaking reports have emerged on how some of them have been killed in pursuit of perceived greener pastures there, leaving their families in great agony on how to repatriate bodies back home after losing their daughters.
Tafadhali, tafadhali, mupige hiyo agent marafuku. Na wale kama huyu nataka na ashikwe au magent washikwe, kwa maana they are sacrificing our children kwa nchi za ng'ambo.
Remember, with all the victims and survivors that we come across, there is a very high need for mental health consideration, and mental health business is so expensive. It is an area that we need to invest even separately to be able to help and support victims and survivors to restore them and rehabilitate them to the stability of human life.
But back to Nairobi's East Leigh, the Karamojong girls suffer in silence. Their health is deteriorating, and now with the exposure to COVID-19, they remain more vulnerable to both the deadly virus and human predators. Brian Obuya, Inside Source, KTN News.